Hello, hello, good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon. Can you hear me? Hello, good afternoon to you all. Hello, good afternoon to you all.
Hello, good afternoon to you too.
Hello, good afternoon, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please. Okay.
Yes, sir.
No, okay, that's good. That's good. Are you waiting for? Let's wait for your colleagues to join. So let's give them some 5 minutes. If they don't come, then we can start. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Whilst we are waiting for them, if you have any issue, there's any challenge that you want us to address, you can bring it up so that we address it. Or if there's any question or you have some contribution to, you are allowed to bring it up. Can we start? Hello. I think we have to start because we can't keep on waiting for them more than 5 minutes now. Can we start? Hello. Are we there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, please.
I think we have about four incidents on board, so I don't think we can keep on waiting for them.
Hmm.
So I want to start right, or we should wait small.
Okay.
Should we keep on waiting, or we should start?
I think
You said you think what?
I think we should start.
looking at the
Uh,
number is not encouraging.
But everybody knows the
mm,
time, so let's start.
okay, thank you. So last we were able to finish. So we are on what lecture? We are going to lecture 6, right? We finished lecture 5, so we are going to lecture 6. Or is it true? Hello. Last Thursday when we met, we were able to finish lecture 5. Or please, can you all see the screen that I've shared?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. So we are going to lecture 6. That's protecting yourself and your PC. Protecting yourself and your PC. That's lecture 6. If I'm coming, I want to take this call. Hello, sir. Yes, sir. But your book now, so yes. Okay, sir. Okay, sir. So everything, give everything to them. I think they will do everything. The code will organize everything for them. Okay. Yeah, I'm also doing same today online. So as I'm talking to you, I'm teaching. So if you move into my room, continue later. Okay, thank you, sir. You're welcome. Bye. Hello, hello.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. I was talking to the other teacher. So please, we are taking this protecting yourself and your PC.
Yes, sir.
What
We are
do we
here.
hope? Okay, that's good. So if you want to protect yourself and your PC, then we are saying that you are going to use some hardware tools as a computer technician or as a computer hardware technician. If you want to do some work on your PC, you are going to use some hardware tools. And I think the first tool that will come into your mind is what the screw what drivers, as we all know. Most of us have it in our cars or we have it wherever we. So most what toolkits comes with a variety of what some screwdrivers that have what variety of tip shapes and what sizes. So we have the flat heads screwdrivers with what the flat tip. We also have the Phillips or screwdrivers with what A plus shape tip and so on and so on. So that's the picture that I've shown over there. You need that one. Then another tool that you also need is what is the pizzas. So that one, yes, that is also a PC repair toolkit. That's typically comes with what a set of pizzas, and you use the pizzas to work with what smaller items in the computer, such as what jumpers. So sometimes, if you are working on the motherboard and you want to pick some tiny items from the motherboard, then you need what you call a pair of pizzas that will help you to pick the tiny items. Ideally, it is not recommended that you use your hand touch the motherboard and those things. So once you are picking some chipset and some other things from the motherboard, then it is recommended that you use the previous so that you can be able to pick all those things. And that's one of the things that as a hardware guy you have to know. Then the next thing that we are going to also talk about, the next thing that we talk about is the chip what extractor. Chip extractor. That one is also a tool that will help you to remove or insert your chip from what? From your motherboard. And you need that tool. So the chip extractor is what is a lot of PC repair toolkits that come with what a chip extractor, which you use to what remove a chip from what from a board. You use it to remove a chip from the board. So that is that for you. And I've given you some pictures and some diagrams for you to also look at it if you get the note. Then we also have what we call the chip inserter. That's one of the hardware tools that we also need is the chip inserter. That's the PC repair toolkits also come with what a chip inserter, which you can use to push a chip into what into a socket. You can use it to push a chip into a socket. And that is also one of that's the chip inserter. The chip inserter is also one of the tools that as a hardware guy you also need. You will also need something like we call canisters, canister. So when talk of a canister, I think a canister they are used to store small and what valuable items such as what screws and what jumpers. So whilst you are working as a hardware technician, you need a canister. It's like a small plastic bowl or sometimes wooden or something that they make that we need to store our screwdrivers and the jumpers and then maybe some small items that we take once you are working on your modern board or you are working on your PC. That is what we call canister. Some people, while they're working on the PC, they finish and they cannot find some of the screws. So it is appropriate and it is recommended that as a hardware guy, you have to have a canister where you put most of what the screws or the small items that you pick. Then you have to also work with another tool called multimeter, the multimeter. Then you can use a multimeter to verify that the wall outlet is what is supplying the correct voltage and that your power connected to the hard drive and the CD-ROM drivers are supplying what the correct voltage. And I think some of these tools, if you go to the technical guides, you'll see them using it. And we also have what we call the digital multimeter. That one can be what can be a valuable tool when troubleshooting what power problems. So these are some petty tools, and they are tools that are recommended that as a hardware guy you need to have and use it to do most of your troubleshooting. Then what are some of the software tools that you need? One of them is the Windows DVD. Windows DVD. And what is the purpose of the Windows DVD? Sometimes if you buy the computer, it is there. The Windows DVD can help you fix what boot problems with Windows when a file goes what mixing. And you can also use it to what recover some basic fix problems by using what the recovery what console. And we have the live DVD or the flash drive, the flash drive. And you can use the flash drive to also do those things. The live DVD, the general can use for what putting and what running the operating system from DVD. So there are live DVD versions of what Windows and Linux that you can use them to what help retrieve what data when the operating system will know what to put. And this is we all know if you want to do installation onto your computer. That's how you need those things. Then you can also run this live operating system from what? From the thumb drive as well. From the thumb drive as well. And these are certain tools that as a hardware guy you need to have. Then you also have the ESD. We also talk about ESD. What is the full meaning of the ESD? Yes, the ESD means what? Electrostatic discharge. Electrostatic discharge. What are we talking about? The bad side of what the static electricity, that's electrostatic charge on a PC is what is the ESD or electrostatic discharge. The static what electricity is produced when there is what an imbalance of what electric charges, that's positive and negative charges within or on the surface of what a material or object. So static electricity itself is not the problem, but what is the problem? The problem occurs when it comes into contact with what positively charged entity and rapidly what discharges. So what are we saying? In order for you to feel the shock, what you have to do is that you must have what a charge of what approximately what 3,000 volts, but not only about what 200 voltage are needed to kill what the computer chip, and 30 volts can do what long-term damage to what to the chip. So what are we talking about with the ESD? So the ESD, so to avoid that, anytime you are working on the computer as a hardware guy, you need to have what we call the ESD or straps. The ESD straps is one of the most popular solutions for preventing what damage to your components. Is to wear what a grounding or strap, a grounding strap, which is also known as what the ESD wrist strap. The ESD wrist strap, that one will help you do that. So we have that one will help you to prevent what the ESD. So anytime as a hardware guy, you want to work on your computer, whether you have disconnected from the power source or it's not, you need to wear what we call the USB wrist strap so that you can prevent what you call the electrostatic discharge. That is also there for you. Then we also have the ESD mat. The ESD mat. That is one time you go to any hardware technician or somebody who is working on the computer, the table that the person is working on is supposed to have what this thing we call the ESD mat on the table. And the ESD mat connects what to the grounding plug in the power outlet of the wall, and then has what a place to connect the workstation to the mat to get the ground. So once you have the ESD mat and you take all those things on it, it also helps you to prevent the electrostatic discharge. So please, these are some things that we are supposed to take into consideration as a hardware guy if you are working on any computer. But I think most of these things we take it for granted. But the reality is that you need them. You need these things if you are working as a hardware guy. So that's what we call the ESD mat. Then we have the carpet spray. You can also use a specialized carpet spray on the carpet around your neck, around your work area to help you reduce the static electricity. But it won't eliminate the static entirely. So that's what we call. We have the carpet spray is also there for you. Then we have the self grounding and equipment grounding. You can ground yourself by connecting a grounding strap to the grounding plug of the power outlet, or purchase specially designed grounding equipment. And that is that we have also talked about that one. Then another thing that we are supposed to know when you are handling them, you also need humidifiers. And in any hardware technician, your site or your workstation, you need what we call humidifiers, so that we can use these humidifiers to place moisture in the air around you. So your goal is to get the humidity level to up to about 50%, up to about 50%. And that is also one of the components handling or preventing ESD. Then another thing that we can also use to protect ourselves is we also need what we call anti-static bag. Anti-static bag. What is the purpose of this anti-static bags? Is that when you are carrying your computer components from one place to the another, what is that? It is good idea to carry the component in what we call an anti-static bag. The purpose of this is to protect the component from static electricity. The reason why we need this anti-static bag is to protect the component from the static electricity, which we have talked about. So please take note of these things. Some of these things, mostly we teach it in the class, but when we are practicing it, we don't do it. But ideally, it is recommended that anytime you buy any computer device or any hardware component, you put it in the anti-static bag. If you are confused, you can even check that when you go and buy any computer component, the issue is once you want to remove the component, mostly they seal it with this anti-static bag before you can take that component, so that once it's running, it is in an anti-static bag. The reason why they put it in the anti-static bag is to protect the component from what we call static electricity. So please take note of that. Then we also have the electro. Please, hello, are we there? Hello. Hello, am I talking to the class?
Sir, we are
Yes.
here.
Yes,
We
yes.
are here.
Yes, sir.
We are with you,
Am,
pa.
are you with me? Am I making some sense? Am I talking
Yes,
in vain? or you are following
You are
what I'm
making
Yes.
sense, pa.
Oh, you are making plenty sense. Plenty sense.
Okay, please, if you have any question to you, please, you can interject. Don't
Sir,
raise up
please,
your hand. Just say, please, I want to
sir,
ask.
please,
If you have a question, you are allowed.
Okay.
Please ask your
sir,
question. Ask your question. I want the class to be interactive.
sir, please, going back to the strap, how actually does it work?
Yes.
The strap. Yes,
How actually does it work?
yes,
You
please.
see, the issue is, you see, sometimes when you take some of the components from the computer, though it is not connected, but it is having that static electricity that we are talking about. So we are saying that to avoid that, you, the hardware technician, have to wear that strap so that you don't touch it. If you don't wear the strap and you touch those things, the issue is you are going to also affect it with some distance, and when you plug it, it is going to affect the device. So it is better you wear the strap to also prevent some electrical shocks and other things. It's protected. I don't know if I have been able to explain to you very well.
Sir, please, that means that there are some of the components in the system unit that when you take them out, they still have static electricity in them.
Uh, that is the point. That is the reason why they are telling you to wear the strap, so that you also don't get hurt yourself. And also, sometimes we human beings, we have that thing in us. Some component, when we touch it and we also go and plug it, it also affects the component. So better still, that's what they are telling you to wear the strap so that it will take those things out and it will protect the device and protect yourself.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
Can you see from the picture that the technician is wearing that strap and he's touching the device and those, but mostly we don't follow those things when we are doing it. But ideally in hardware, if you are in the hardware now, you are supposed to wear some of these things and it will protect you and protect the component that you are working on. Please, are you okay with that?
Sir, let me ask the last one.
Feel free, ask a question. We are in a class. Feel free. Please,
So,
if you have any contribution to in the class, I am, though I'm teaching, I don't know everything. Maybe you also know something. You can add it. Yes, that's a class in the university. Yes, please ask your question.
so I take it that this the strap and then the mat will be able to absorb that static electricity. Does it mean that it now
Yes,
holds that power now? If it holds it, as in it's now absorbed the power from the component which you took out. Is it is it containing the power
it
which
doesn't
it has
absorb the
absorbed
power
now?
of.
And if you touch it, okay.
Will you do what? Please, I can't hear you. Can I hear you? I can't hear you. Please, I
So
didn't
I
hear
was
you well.
what I was saying is that now it has absorbed the static electricity
Mhm.
from the various components which you took out. Is it now holding us in containing the power now? And if you touch it, won't
No,
anything
it's
happen
not
also?
containing. The issue is you are protecting yourself from what? From that shock. And you're also not going to add, maybe sometimes you have touched certain things on it. And if you also touch it and you also plug it, it will not get the wall outlet very well. And sometimes they can also spoil the device. So you wear that strap to protect the device and protect yourself so that you don't add. That's what I know, but I don't know what you're also talking about. Please, can somebody help him? Can somebody help him if you also understand? Maybe I'm not explaining to this. Can somebody help him? Hello. Are we in the class?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Can somebody help
So
him?
it's like an insulator. It's like an
It's like what?
insulator which protects you from the static electricity,
Okay.
insulating you yourself from the the standard electricity in the device or component that you are taking.
Okay, let's move on. Let's move on. So we have talked about the antistatic what back. Then the next thing is we are going to look at the electromagnetic what
Or you are taking
interface.
in.
That's okay. Okay. So the electromagnetic interface, in short, we call it the EMI. And they're saying the EMI, it involves what computer equipment receiving what electrical what interference from what an outside source, such as what another electrical device or piece of what machinery. So what happens that the ESD often what it causes what permanent damage. That is, if you fry what a computer chip, it is damaged what permanently. But what happens that the EMI is for the most part, is for most part what is temporary. So EMI exposure for a long period of time can cause what permanent damage to a computer component. So why are you saying that? Some of the basic rules to follow when servicing the computer, that's the personal safety is, first of all, they say you have to disconnect the power before repairing the PC. Anytime you want to repair the PC, you have to disconnect the power. You have to remove any jewelry if you're wearing some, whether in your neck, your hand, whatever you find yourself. You have to know the lifting techniques if you want to lift the chip from what the socket. There are some techniques that we are supposed to follow. You don't touch where the pins are. So you have to lift it what upside down. Make sure where you, if you are letting use the techniques. And you have to also use electrical or fire safety. Then you have to wear safety goggles and air filter hot mask. You also need cable management. That's you have to make sure you disable what all the SATA cables and all those things from the this thing. Then you have to ensure that the CR, that's the cathode ray tube safety and proper disposal. And we know that the cathode ray tube now, though it is no more in use, it was highly hazardous. So what you have to do is that in trying to dispose it, you have to follow all the rules that we are supposed to follow. In Ghana, you don't follow the rules. You just go and dump it at the dumping site, which is very, very dangerous. So most equipment, including the cathode tubes, can be dropped off at what the recycling facility to be properly disposed of. If you go outside, you can't just throw it anywhere. There's some ways in which you have to follow before you can dispose of that. Then you have the weight what limitation. Ensure that you are not lifting equipment that is too heavy. Use proper moving equipment for what heavy equipment. And you have to how to recognize what high voltage equipment. So the high voltage equipment can cause what serious injury if you touch it or might even kill you. So what you have to do that you will not typically service these two major computer components unless you have special training or certification beyond A class what certification exams. So mostly it is not recommended to work on what the power supply or the monitor. If the power supply is having problem, we are saying that no matter how good you are as a technician, don't work on it. It is not recommended. Just dispose it and buy a new one. But if you want to work on it, then which is that they are saying that your knowledge in computer hardware should be very, very sharp, extremely sharp, and the monitor too. Then what then is the power supply? I think the power supply unit is responsible for taking alternating current, which we have talked about that from the wall outlet, and then it converts it to what current, direct current that is usable by the computer component. So the power supply usually takes what 120 volt or 240 volt of what or alternating current from the wall outlet. And then what it does is that it supplies the power to the computer component by converting the 120 volt or the 240 volts AC into 3.3V, 5V, or 112V of DC, depending on the country in which you find yourself. So the power supply contains a charge, even after it is what unplugged, contains some charge even after it has been unplugged. So servicing what a broken power supply is not recommended. If your power supply is broken, just replace it. Which I'll talk about that, and you just have to replace it. company, what is this? Let me check. If a power supply, you just have to what? Replace it. Then when you talk of the cathode ray tube, that's the monitor. That's the part of the monitor that you need to be aware of. It is the cathode ray tube. And I think now we don't see the cathode ray tube. It is no more in the market. So creating the images on the cathode ray tube what monitor takes a lot of power and typically about what 50,000 voltage, which is enough to cause your, yourself serious and if not kill yourself. So what you have to do, remember that this charge is out even when the monitor is unplugged from the wall. So as a general rule, do not open the monitor unless you are a qualified or professional. So please let's take note of that. How to protect your computer components. You have to reduce the ESD to help your computer components. Be sure to use proper techniques to reduce the ESD, and we have talked about what using the mat, using the ESD mat, using the ESD strap, and all. Then you have to also maintain temperature and humidity level what awareness, that's the environment control, and so that you monitor the temperature and the humidity levels in the areas that have the computer equipment. This includes several rooms that have a number of servers, routers, and switches, which cause the room to heat up. You want to have what relative humidity levels of at least 30% and a temperature around what 70 degrees what Fahrenheit. So protection from airborne particles is also one of the ways you can help protect the system from what airborne particles by ensuring that you have all enclosures properly sealed and using what air filters. Then you can also protect your computer from what the dust and debris. You can remove dust and debris from the system by using what we call compressed air to blow the dust off the equipment and small vacuum to collect what the dust. So you have to use component handling and what protection. Be sure to ground yourself at all times to protect the equipment from what ESD. Place components in what anti-static bags if you are removing a part from the computer. Then electrical fire safety, as mentioned earlier, be prepared for electrical fires and have an approved fire extinguisher close by. Then you should also have what we call the CRT safety, that's proper disposal. You can drop off old equipment at the recycling or facilities. Then you can also follow the compliance to what local government regulations. You ensure that you follow all the safety protocols and do that. Then how to dispose of certain computer components that can be what dangerous to the environment. And I think we have talked about that the CRTs, because the CRT contain harmful components, they cannot be dumped in the landfill site. So you can donate all old monitors that are still in working condition to the public schools, churches, and charities. Put the white. Sometimes they do that. They bring all to Africa because we don't have it because they see here as their dumping site. So you can contact recycling companies that will take it off your hands and use it for spare parts and so on and so forth. Sometimes we have the toner kits and the cartridges. Some of these things in Africa, how do we do it? We don't follow some of these rules. Toner, even in Ghana, people are repairing toners and they are doing refill and so on and so forth. Even the university, we are buying refill toners. But elsewhere, you can't just refill a toner and come and sell like that. But here in Africa, because of poverty, we are still doing those things. So we are saying that it is hazardous. We are still we forget about that and do work on it. But please, you need to be careful because that toner, if you are not careful, and some even get to your tongue, the probability that you can die is also there. So there's a number of vendors offer small discount if you turn in old toner kits or cartridge when you buy new ones. So even if you don't give small discount, at least they will take an old toner off your hands. So these vendors typically send the old toner kit or cartridge back to the manufacturer to be recycled. That is if the manufacturer is doing it. But Ghana is not the manufacturer who will do it. If the vendor you purchase from doesn't take the used toner kits and cartridge, you should contact the manufacturer and find out how you can dispose of them. What you have to do, if you don't want to contact the manufacturer, you can always check with what your state's or environmental regulatory office to do that for you. What are some of the material safety data sheets? It's also there a material data sheet, safety data sheet, that's MSDS, also contains information about what some hazardous or chemicals present in different materials. So the MSDS contains what the composition of these materials and includes their what ingredients, so that you will know that what makes up what a particular material. The MSDS also contains information on the proper handling of what materials and the lethal doses of for each material. So you can obtain information on MSDS by visiting the www.osha.gov and running a search of MSDS and your material. So a great website to find out more on how to donate your recycled computer parts is what the www.computerhub.com/disposal.atm. You can go there and read more. Another thing that we talk of the hardware is economics, and I think this one we have done it in introduction to computing. When we talk of introduction to computing, you know what economics is. Economics is what is the study or science of what designing equipment that reduces what discomfort for the user and reduces what or prevent repetitive what strain injury. In short, we call it RSI. So the RSI is an injury to the muscles and the tendons in the neck, shoulder, arms, wrist, fingers caused by poor posture and what frequent repetitive movement that accompany long hours in front of what a computer. And so because of that, we are saying that if you are buying a computer, you have to buy a computer that is ergonomically friendly. You have to also buy a table or the chair that you sit on it should also be economically friendly. So some common example of the RSID are the paper or canal, tendonitis, and so on and so forth. And you also have how you can maintain good posture. So recommendation that you can follow to help reduce this discomfort and the repetitive strain injury is you have to maintain good posture in the office. So that's why anytime you go to most of the senior managers, their offices, they have the chair that they can sway themselves to left, to right, and you can see that they have put their computer in such a way that um, there's some comfort in that office. That's what we are saying. So the office is what is economically friendly. The chair is economically friendly. The table is economically friendly, and so on and so forth. So we are saying that if they do that, then once you are working in that office, you maintain what a good posture and be sure to keep good posture when working on the computer. If you don't do that, you have to put your feet flat on the floor. Your thighs and back should be at what 90 degrees angle from each other, and your forearms should be on the table parallel to the floor. And so these are ways to maintain good posture. You have to use a comfortable keyboard and a mouse, and that's your keyboard should be adjustable and it should allow you to work without any trouble. And you have to also have ergonomic keyboard and the mouse. So try to keep the keyboard and the mouse at a comfortable position so that you can keep a relaxed posture and not have to stretch too far to do your work. If at all possible, use ergonomic what keyboard which has left and right half set at comfortable angles to help reduce what strain put on your wrist, arms, and fingers. So we have ergonomically friendly keyboard that you can buy. Keep the monitor at an eye level. So you keep the monitor at an eye level so that you don't have to bend or stretch your neck to look at it. Also keep your monitor 2 feet away from you because of what the rays older monitors emit. But now I think most of the monitors that we have, they have inculcated that emit. So, and you have to take frequent breaks whilst you are working in the office. This one we know it already. Care for your eyes whilst you are working. If you are working at the computer for a long period of time, be sure to blink your eyes frequently and try to give them a break by focusing on distance of them for a few seconds every 15 to 20 minutes. You can computer uses what users have dry eyes because they don't blink as often as someone not using the computer all day. So have some eye drops handy when working on the computer for long period of time. That is if you are working, and use a rest. What rest? So if you do not, if you are doing a lot of typing and
So,
mousing on the
so
computer,
what else do?
you said hello, hello. What did you say? Hello,
So with
please, we are
hello,
listening
sir.
to you. Can you continue? Yes. What are
Yeah,
you
I'm
saying?
saying that on the issue of the eyes, I'm saying that it is also recommended that when you are using the computer, you should wear the anti-blue ray spectacles.
That one is also true. You have to wait. But how many of us are willing to wait when you're working on the computer? Okay, invest in a good chair, which we all know, and your chair should be adjustable back and what adjustable height. So also there, that one is also there. So that is that.
Hello, sir.
Hello, sir.
Hello,
Please
sir.
talk. I'm listening. I'm listening to you talk.
Sir, please,
We are listening.
we are we're looking at what we've gone through. You see, this one is official. That is asking, this is in the books, but actually, how many Ghanaians or how many of us will be able to go through this correct things to do in order to prevent these repetitive strain injuries? As it stands now, as we are having the lecture, some of us are even sleeping on the bed, and having it at the right angles is a problem. So how best? Because as you are doing it, sometimes you go for 4 hours lectures, 5 hours lectures, and sometimes two of them 8 hours a day. So how best can we do this? If not
So that's
for the
why,
books.
but the issue is that these things they are in the books, but you see, they in your home, you're supposed to have a study area where you have to have all these things available. But the issue is poverty is it has put us on the ground that we cannot even feed ourselves. So why can I go for all these things? But let me tell you right now, if they give you any position, a better position in Ghana, you go to the office and see that they will buy all those things for you and make sure your office is more economically friendly. But I think apart from that, if you are working on your own, most of us, our working conditions are far less. Like you go to the classroom and the teacher, the chair that they are giving to the table and everything, it's not economically friendly. So, boss, that one you are right. We are just saying it, but that is the right ideally. That's what we are supposed to do. So, please, any question on this? Any question on this? That's protecting
You
yourself
talked
and the
of
PC.
you talked of eye drop. You did not mention the name so that some of us can get it and buy.
No,
Just
please,
say eye
please,
drop.
I don't have any specific high job. That is, if you have to use the computer and you're facing challenge, you go to what? Go to hospital. Please, I don't have. I'm not a doctor. Yes.
Okay.
Any question on this? Any question on this? Then we are going to the seventh lecture. When I'm done with that, the last one you are going to read on your own. If there's no question, we are finishing today, right? After today, no
Yes,
lectures. Or
yes, sir.
Yes.
sir.
so how far the ones we have done so far? Any challenge? Is there any challenge? Somebody facing some challenge so that we can address it? Because we are going to set the questions. We're going to set the questions. So any challenge on the ones that we have done so far?
Yeah, we'll be happy if you can post any of the
The
past
next
questions
one
for
is
us
we are
to
going to
see
perform.
later.
There is no past question. There is no past question. You want the past question? Eh?
So are you sure there are no past
Hello.
questions?
I doubt
Very
I
necessary, sir.
doubt it. The questions I'm still setting is
So I
not
said, what about
anything.
the regular?
The questions I'll give the regular people, you cannot do it you because you are just using 4 meetings. So regular questions, if I want to bring it here.
Please give us our level. So please give us our level.
No, you people, I'll come down to your level because I know most of you are working and you don't have
Yes.
time to read. So if you talk about regular, if you want to get the regular past question for it first, you will run away. So I will not do that one. So I know how
God bless you in advance. God bless you in advance.
know how to set your advanced questions. I always come down to your level. So once you've gone through the slides, at least you should be able to write something for us and pass and go your way. So the next thing is performing preventive maintenance. Performing preventive maintenance. That's the last lecture. When I finish with this, we are done. The last lecture, the lecture 8, you are going to read it yourself. Going to read it yourself. So performing preventive maintenance. What is it? Reasons to perform preventive maintenance. Is one of them is to prevent what? Preventive maintenance saves time. That's one of the reasons to do that. Another one is what? Is save money by increasing activity. And it also, that's what preventive maintenance protect data and also improve what performance. But in Ghana, you see that our maintenance culture is what? It's poor. And not in Ghana alone, most of us we buy things and we cannot maintain it. And they think that maintenance is as equally good than any other thing. If you are buying anything and you cannot maintain it, then you better don't buy it at all. So preventive maintenance is important because of this. Please, who is this? Who is this? Who is this? Mute your microphone. Please mute your microphone. You are giving me a lot of feedback. So preventive maintenance saves time, also increase productivity, also maintain preventive maintenance, protect the data, and also improve performance. So keep your maintenance manageable because if it is not, you probably will not do it. So planning to do 3 things and getting them done is better than not planning a dozen and getting nothing done. That's one of the ways. So preventive maintenance activities is what? You have to scan for file system errors whilst you're using the computer, scanning for virus and what? Malware, then updating the virus and what? Spam definitions and emergency boot disk, backing up data and what? CMOS settings is also one of them. Defragmenting your hard drives, and I know a lot of people are using their computer and they have not even done hard drive what defragmentation. Intermittently or once a while, you need to defragment what your disks, and then removing what unnecessary what hard drive files, cleaning screens, mice, keyboard, floppy, and tape drives, and also ensuring the external system fans and vents, internal fans and heat sinks are functioning properly and are free of what dirt and debris. You have to check what your power protection device as well as what the internal and external cable connection. So these are some of the preventive maintenance. And how do we do that? Some of the materials that will help you to do that is that for you to efficiently perform preventive maintenance on your computer equipment, you need the correct tools with you. So these tools include the following. One of the tools that you need to use once you want to perform preventive maintenance is the compressed air. The compressed air. What do we use the compressed air? We use the compressed air to remove what? Debris and what? Dust from surfaces that you don't want to touch, or that's small corners. So from the picture that I've shown you, you can see that we are using the compressed air to remove what debris and what dust from the keyboard of the laptop. And they have also opened the back of the laptop and they're using the compressed air to remove debris and dust from the motherboard and the hard drive. And this one, which we are saying that we have to do it repeat it continuously. We have to do it maybe intermittently every other 2 weeks or every other 2 months, 3 months to remove the dust. So that's the compressed air. Then we also have what we call the vacuum, computer vacuum. What do we use the computer vacuum to do? These vacuums can be used to remove dust and debris from a variety of surfaces within your computer, such as the system fan. You can see that sometimes even in your house, we have the vacuum cleaner where we use to remove dirt from what? From our carpet, our woolen carpet. You have to have a vacuum cleaner. So we have the computer vacuum that will help you to remove all that. There are some people, if they bring their computer to you and you open it, Charlie, it's components because you can't even see it well. It's full of dust and debris. It is advisable that you open your computer and do computer vacuum and remove all those things from it. And it's one of the ways to do all the preventive work maintenance. So from the picture on the screen, I think you can see that the hardware guy is trying to do the preventive maintenance to keep the computer clean. And it's one of the ways in which the computer can also last for you. Then the next thing that you can also do is what you can also use manufacturer or approved cleaning or kit. Sometimes such kits are usually designed for what components. So if you use the approved kits, then the issue is it will make the computer, the PC or the motherboard look genuine, look very, very fresh, like the new one that have been installed. Once you use those approved what cleaning kits, it will help you to remove all the dust and the debris. Then we also have what we call cleaning what clothes. Cleaning clothes. That cleaning clothes should be what lint free. Anytime you're cleaning something on the motherboard or your computer, you see that the cleaning clothes that you are supposed to do should be what lint free. Why are you saying that it should be lint free? You are saying that it should be lint free if you use synthetic clothes. Take care when you are working with cleaning chemicals because some chemicals cannot decompose the clothes or bleed out the dyes in them, which might have what residue on the surface that you are trying to clean. That's why we are saying that anytime you are using a cleaning cloth to clean some component of the computer, especially the motherboard, you have to use what we call the lint-free what cloth. And cleaners and what chemicals, most cleaners are now non-abrasive and other things. So in most cases, using chemicals should be avoided for most surfaces, either dry cloth or cloth moistened with what water should be used. Then cleaning what part, this soft, this one should also should be lint-free clothes that are what pre-moistened with what mild cleanness. So cleaning parts are usually more for what convenience item than what necessity. So please let's take note of that. Then you have to also use automatic what update tools for antivirus, anti-spam, OS, and so on and so forth. And you have to do some firmware updates. That's you have to also do some driver what updates, some of the utility, that's the software utilities. Then we can also use the OS level tools such as what defragmentation dot what exe, check this dot exe, password scheduler, and Windows backup. Do that. That are some of the utilities. We have third-party what maintenance tools that we can also use. Then we can also go for what the recovery or the rescue what boot CV, boot cannot. These are some of the software utilities that as a hardware guy you have to have and those things. What are some of the environmental steps to protect and preserve your computer? One of them is saying that mostly we should have some ventilation and what airflow. So that's why most people, when discussing equipment ventilation, only two factors come into play. That's the external ventilation and what the internal ventilation. What happens that poor ventilation can contribute to what higher than what recommended CP temperatures or other damage. So that's why mostly in the computer lab we have the ACs keep the computer cool and some of the components. So components that are affected by internal or external power supplies, processors, hard disk drives, and motherboard components such as the chipset and the capacitors. So mostly, if you go to most of our computer lab, you put the fan and the AC on, you keep the computer warm. Then we have the external ventilation too. That's not the largest single variable in the area of external ventilation is actually what the ambient room temperature. If the room is not cool enough, your computer will never be cool enough because the computer simply brings what room air into the case to cool components, which is expected to be cooler than the air than that is what currently inside inside of the computer case. So room temperature should always be between what 60 to 75 degrees what Fahrenheit and 15 to 25 degrees Celsius. But you have to try to stay at low end of what of the scale. Mostly that in the computer lab that go, you see that we have ACs and all those things. That's the reason why we have those things to keep the computer. And why we don't keep it at that level, the computers will not last. And mostly even for some months and we are facing some challenges and all those things. So please let's get to know that. Then we have the internal ventilation. One of the internal ventilation, mostly you look at some pieces and where we have the power supply, you see that there are some vents. They have put some vents over there so that air can go pass over there. And then most computer cases are made of what metal and internal heat that can be what dissipated into what the surrounding air. So as part of the case design, we try to make sure that air cannot penetrate what and those things. So we can see from the diagram that I've shown you mostly you see that the provide spaces or places where air can what go into the case, and so there should be some kind of circulation. That the internal ventilation should be good. So you don't design a computer in such a way that you fill up all the spaces without air penetrating. No, you have to give some space where air can go through and go there, cool it aside the fan cooling the processor. You also need to allow some natural air to enter the system. That's the internal ventilation. Then we have less popular. Um, we have internal as part of the internal ventilation. We have seen the blowholes where these are also there for you to see. Then we have the liquid cool heat sinks and the higher heat systems, and the blowhole is there for you to see. Please, I've shown you the picture. Anywhere you see the power supply, you see that blowhole, or you see some vents that will allow the internal ventilation. Then we have the humidity and what liquids to reduce the chance of what electrostatic discharge. You have to keep the humidity level of what 60% to reduce what corrosion. Through though humidity level should be as low as 35. So areas that are too damp add to the corrosion of what metal components on the modern, such as leads for what capacitors and hundreds of people. So in addition to damp water environment, spills are a source of electric problems. So in general, what we have to avoid is we have to avoid using liquids around the computer. So it is also recommended that if you go to the computer lab, some of them will not allow you to eat or use some water over there. So if keeping liquids away from the computer isn't possible, perhaps you can remove the computer from the area of what the liquid. Then we have the ESD, which we have talked about that already. The electrostatic discharge is caused when an electrical charge builds up on one surface. So in most cases, your body builds up a charge when what any synthetic materials rub against each other, such as your clothing or your feet moving across or the carpet. So do not forget the relationship between what ESD and humidity. Lower ESD rates by what increasing what humidity is also there. Then we have the 3Ds, that's the death, dust, and debris. How can you do away with that? Users are often surprised by how much dust, dirt, and debris they collect inside the computer, even though the room seems dust free. Why it happens so? Computers collect even more dust when they are placed on what on the floor, when they essentially act as what air filters. So in most cases, what happens is that computers should be what clean what annually, or sometimes every other 3 months. We have to do that. If the computer has to be placed in a dirty or dusty location, though such as what a factory what floor, what happens that internal cleaning should be scheduled more frequently. So because so that you can remove the 3Ds, that's the dirt, the dust, and what the debris. Then we also have the EMI, that's electromagnetic interface, also known as the radio frequency interference. That one is caused by what rapidly changing signals in electrical circuit, radiating a field around the circuit. So what happens that the EMI caused by what cell phones is why cell phones are banned in certain areas of what hospitals. They can disrupt what electronic medical devices within about what 3 feet. Sometimes you go to the bank and they can tell you that please you are not allowed to use your phone here because of EMI. While the EMI can affect the wired devices, it can cause similar havoc with what wireless devices. So because of that, EMI may cross what several RF what frequencies, so it can affect what the 2.5 what gigahertz device like the 802.11 BGN networks and Bluetooth devices as well as what the 5G devices like that. The solution to the EMI include what physical isolation of devices. So there are certain places they will tell that they don't receive phone calls over here. If you enter the bank, or we don't allow you to receive phone calls. And also installation of what dedicated circuit or power condition of what incoming power and replacing devices with which cause what the EMI. So please let's take note of that. We have the power UPS and what the suppressors. So the power conditioning comprises what cleaning or regulating power that is supplied to the device. So in addition to conditioning power and reducing the EMI, sets of set suppressors and the UPS can what provide protection to your computers and what electronic device. So that one you also know that. So in addition to keeping the power clean and available, grounding equipment is what is important. So that's what we have seen. We have shown with some of the pictures. All computer equipment comes with what we call the polarity what base what blocks with one side larger than the other, and most have what ground connectors. That is the third connector on the block. So some users who need extension cords will cheat and get through conductor cords, thereby removing the grounding what facility for their equipment. This leads to static what discharge, static discharge. That is issue. So should I usually leave my computer on or I should shut it off? It's also another question. What will be the answer? Just like in this question, there are two schools of thought on that, which should not be what a surprise. Some factors that affect these decisions are the convenience of having the device ready to work. If you visit your computer regularly, you might want to keep it on. Then you can also talk about what some power consumption. Running your computer 24/7 will consume more power than shutting it down when you aren't using it. Then we have the thermal stress. Thermal stress happens every time components heat or cool because they expand and contract. So because of this expansion and contraction causes what failure to occur. So when your equipment on for longer period, you what this problem. So we can also talk about wear out. Because equipment has an what expected lifespan measured in hours or days. So this rating is what is the mean time before failure. That's the MTBF. So if components are forced to run continuously, they will hit their usage limit more quickly. So this problem is reduced by powering out items down or having them enter a low power mode. So please, so that's what you're saying. Like it's having to depend on the situation that will call for it. So do I usually leave my computer on or shut it off? And depending on whatever you want to do, you can choose any of them. So that's the two schools of thought that we talked about. Then the next is what the case and what component. The case and component. To keep most components in good health, you have to regularly what perform maintenance on your systems. How do you do that? To the frequency for these tasks depends on the tax with what external tax being performed daily, weekly, or monthly. And we also have the internal tax that's being performed monthly or quarterly or annually. So what should we do then? The following tasks should be part of your maintenance routine. As you have to make sure that you optimize airflow both inside and around the case to help prolong what the system life. You need to clean the inside with vacuum or compressed air periodically to ensure that dust and dirt do not build up on the components or fans. They need to verify that all the fans or function for you. Check the processor temperature by using internal sensor strips, and you have to ensure that the heat sink and the fan are clean and free of dirt and debris. So please, it goes on and on and on. These things, they are just written. You can just do it. When it comes to the power supply stream, you have to verify that your power protecting devices are working properly to ensure the system integrity. Ensure that your power outputs are correct. This can be verified with what? The use of what? Multimeter or power supply or testing tool. We talked about that already. You can verify that the power output is still sufficient if system components have changed. Make sure that the fans are also clean with that. So please, it goes on and on and on. Any questions so far? It goes on, and the rest I can leave it for you to read. It's not anything difficult. Please, any question? Hello, any question, seniors? We have the monitor too. Any question? Are you with me? Hello,
Yes, sir. We are with you.
Yes, sir. There we are
are we
with
there?
you.
It's left with some 10 slides. I will leave it here for you to read. It's not these things, they are when you read, it's not any technical thing. So I want to leave it. You can read it and understand. I want to go and attend to some other things too. So if you wouldn't mind, just leave some 5 or 6 slides. You can go through yourself and read it. It's not anything difficult. If there's no question, I want to end here. And how do I say it? I'm still testing the question. It's going to be difficult. Just go through the slides. Sure you do some intensity, you'll be able to do it. Don't shake at all. I'll come down to your level and that you people can handle. Okay, are we
Okay,
there?
sir. Thank you.
I'm stuck on the question. So please just take your time and read the slides. At least whatever you don't understand, do some a little bit of research on it. And that's all it will. Well, I think last year the questions I got, most of your seniors they were able to pass, and it's not anything difficult. It becomes difficult if you fail to read. But once you've taken your time to go through the slides, it will well with you. Okay, if there's no question, I'll end the class. I have to go to some place.
Okay,
Any
sir.
question?
Thank
If
you
there's
very
no,
much.
there's no question, are we okay? Please, are we okay?
Yes,
And I
please.
want
Yes, please.
okay. So the last lecture 8. Take your time and read. I have to go to some place and do something. It's almost time. So please, I'll end here. Bye bye to all of you. If there is any question bothering you, anything bothering you, before you write the exam, you can reach out to me. My phone number is in the course rep. I've given all the materials to you. If there's something that's bothering you, can reach out to me. We will discuss it intensively. But apart from that, they say you are writing your quiz on the 12th or something out. So they've sent some details to us. We will send the questions and it will be well with you. Don't worry, panic. Pass and pass very well. All the best. Bye bye to all of you. Bye.
Bye, sir.
Bye, sir.
Bye bye, sir. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
My people, this is how you want it. Simple, short, concise, and precise. Straight to the point. Oh, wow.
Ayapwana.
Yapon long time ago. Yapon why?
Basandi. Yes. No, on Simon wa junction. Oma, no mami ko. Mami fa nta kama. Roland kwa o coffee kwa street. Mo church o from by force me nwa na my assignment. Pressure part
The lecture ended.